Hello and welcome to this new video in the SQL section. In this video, we will learn one of the most important concepts of SQL called as joins. So far, whatever examples we have seen, we have worked only in single tables. However, in real projects, you will most often work with multiple tables. And that's where the concept of join comes into picture. Join is nothing but a statement or an operation where you combine columns from both the tables, and also it helps you to filter out the rows, which we will see in short. So this is an introduction to the concept. Hence, I will be taking very limited amount of data so that you understand. Once you understand this, we'll take more database or more data or practical scenarios related to join. So I have these tables which I've already created. Sales trunk is a transaction tables with product ID, invoice num, quantity and sales. I have inserted some values into this. Then we have products table with product ID, product name, unit price, and I have inserted few more values. So here's where we have both the tables. This transaction table has 6 rows and the products have 5 rows. Right. So let's begin with the basics of the join directly. So far, when we begin writing anything, we say select star from table name. And when you run this, we all know that it will give me all the columns. And since there is no where clause, it won't filter any rows. So all the rows and all the columns, practically. Now, when we wanted multiple columns or more than one columns from a table, how do we write? We say product ID, comma, invoice number. This is how we used to separate columns. Now, instead of doing this, if you have more than one table, if you write comma over here and write the another table name and then execute this, what will be the impact of this? So this is what a combined data set results from more than one tables. Now here, the first thing that you have to notice is, look at the number of columns. So the first 4 columns belong to the sales trunk table. The next 3 columns belongs to the products table. Another thing is that if you notice, again, if I execute these two statements, sales trunk had 6 rows and product had 5 rows. If you run this, instead if you see the results pane, you're getting 30 rows. And that is nothing but the multiplication of the rows of sales trunk into products. So 6 5s are 30, 6 into 5. So what happens is, on the left hand side, if you see, until here we had our first table data. For every row of one table, the other table will be kept in front of it. So this is my first block, it will have product ID 1. This is my second block, it will have product ID 2. But these rows are repeating again. This is second block, third block, fourth block and fifth block and so onwards. This output is nothing but a cross join and it is called as Cartesian product. However, this is not the way we do joins. We do join by writing the join keywords or statements. So let us see that. So this is how we begin. Select star from sales trunk. Then we use a keyword in between called join. Then we write the name of second table. But only doing this much is not sufficient. When you want to join both the tables, the purpose of joining both the table is to obviously bring columns from multiple tables and prepare one final result set or data set. So very often you would see, as we have been using AdventureWorks, by now you would have explored few tables like dim products, dim employee and fact internet sales, and we're going to use few other as well very soon. So the data is segregated entity wise, and this is another concept that very soon we are going to learn in data warehousing called as fact and dimensions. But first let us understand about join for right now. We'll come to that as well. So when you join two tables, what is important is you should tell which are the common columns on basis of which you want to join. There has to be some common column between them. Now when I say common column, it doesn't mean just the header or the column name. The column names need not be the same. They can be same or they need not be the same. But what is important is the data type of both the columns have to be the same and the values have to be the same. So if I see product ID is common between both, since this is our very first time, what I've done in create table statement is I have kept the same column name across both the tables. However, that is not a compulsion. The only compulsion is that the data type should match and the result will be depending on the values. Now what does that mean? We'll come to that. So this is how you go further and extend and say on sales tran dot product id is equal to products dot product id. Let me split this into multiple lines. So I'm saying select star from the first table, join the second table, and on is nothing but a condition. This has to be always a Boolean expression. So I say sales tran dot product id is equal to products dot product id. I cannot just say product id is equal to product id because product id is on both the side and it has to identify in which table it is. Hence we will always prefix the table name before the column name. But between the table name and column name there is a dot. So sales tran dot product id is equal to products dot product id. Now let me run this. Now once you run this, there will be a change in the output. The first thing you will see is what is same as in this query, in the above query was same columns you are observing, yes. But the number of rows now has reduced to 6. This is actually the join that we want to understand. Now once you are seeing star, star means give me all the columns from a table, that's what we know. When you have join, star denotes all the columns from all the tables, simple. And this join has a special meaning. So this kind of join is the default join, I can say, or it is also called as an equi-join, or more familiarly known as inner join. What does that mean is, it will give you only those rows for which the product ID is matching in both the tables. So now comes the time to go deeper and understand why less number of rows are appearing. Look at these product IDs. If you try a distinct on this, since this is the transaction table, each product ID might have more than one row as well. But this is our an entity table wherein the product information will appear only once. So 5 product IDs in the products table, but in the sales transaction table I see product ID 1 is repeating, 2 is repeating, 3 and 4 are occurring only once. However, let me run this join again. So when I run this join, I don't see any product ID which is equal to 5 over here. That is the first thing that you have to understand in this join type. This join is nothing but called as inner join or equi-join. What does this mean is, the golden statement that you will remember about the join, inner join is, it will only bring me matching rows from both the tables. And on basis of what? On basis of this column, product ID from both the sides or whatever column you have written. Keep in mind the column name need not be the same, but the data type has to be the same. So if this is integer, the other side also should be integer. If this is date, this should be date. If this is varchar, this should be varchar. Moving a little bit further, one thing that you will remember is join will or inner join will give me always matching record. You can write this statement also like this way. Just say inner space join. It will still bring you the same result, and this join and inner join means the same. And that's why I said that is the default join type. So inner join means matching records, period. That is the thing that you'll remember. Now few things that you should also know. Since we are writing star, that's why we're getting columns from both the tables. What if you wanted only columns from one of the table? So how do you write that? All you will do is just prefix the table name this way. Sales tran dot star. So this will only show you the columns from the sales tran table. Have a look. And if you want only products table, you will say products dot star. Dot is necessary when you want to refer any and all columns. Alright? Fine. Now, the way we renamed our columns earlier by using the as concept, you can similarly rename the tables also over here. How do you do that? And it has a significant benefit. So you can rename your table, you can say this is S and you can call this as P. As soon as you do that, look at the join expression. It turns out to be invalid. The reason is because it says the multi-part identifier sales tran dot product ID could not be found. Because no longer this table is sales trans. It is now S and P. So everywhere you have sales tran, you will replace it as S. Everywhere you have products, you will replace it as P. And now when you execute, it is fine. Further, when you want only all the columns of the sales tran table, you will say S dot star execute, or you can say p dot star. Simple. So this is how it helps you. If you want specific column names from both the tables, so you'll have to write it this way. You will say p dot product id, comma, p dot product name, comma, s dot invoice number, s dot quantity, s dot sales, and then you run. So these are some things that you will remember about renaming, and this will help you to shorten your query to a larger extent. However, as is not compulsory. You can just skip it and then you run. It is perfectly fine. However, these are some extra things which are not compulsory, but this will help you to refine your statements. But our center of attraction, or rather the focus over here, should be on inner join, understanding inner join. It is nothing but it will give you matching rows. That is what is important. Now, what I do is I can take our base statement by going at the top and come down. I just add another keyword over here, say left. Alright. So when I do left join as compared to inner join, what is the difference? That is what you have to understand. There are three kinds of join broadly: inner join, left join, and right join. Inner join will always give you matching records. What does left join do? Now left join, it is situational. If you see, this also has 6 rows and this also has 6 rows. Alright. Now it depends how you write these tables. When you are in inner join, it doesn't matter if you write this table on the right or on the left. For example, if I switch these tables, still my output will be 6 rows, and I don't see that product ID 5 which is available in products table, because inner join is matching rows only. Fine. But with left join, the situation will not be the same. Now sales trans was on the left side and products on the right side. Now here onwards in the left join, the sequence matters. So what I'll do now is I'll switch these tables now just to show you an impact so that you will understand. Now you see the number of rows are 7 but not 6. The reason is because in the left join and the right join, which will be followed after this, the sequence matters, the orientation of the table matters. It doesn't matter in inner join. So when you write this is your join, the table on the left to the join word or keyword is products. So that table will decide how many rows will come. And if you see, the products table has 5 product IDs. All of them will be listed over here. And on the right hand side, the sales transaction table. Whatever rows are matching, those will be filled in. But the rows which are not matching, those will remain as null. And null means absence of value. That's what I told you. And now comes the time to understand the exact meaning why I said so. The simple reason is because this product ID number 5 is not available in sales trans table. Hence, it is absent over there. And that's why I said null means simple absence of a value. But we had to wait until today or until this concept to understand what it's exactly meaning. So that's how we understand null or define null. So here what has happened is I see that the products table is driving this output rather, and sales trend is just playing a supportive role over here. So the first 3 columns are from products table and the last 4 columns are from sales trend table. So all the rows will be filled whichever are matching. The ones which are not matching will be null. Simple. So hence, if we want to define inner join, we said only matching rows. But left join is matching plus non-matching. So the ones which are matching are appearing and the ones which are not matching will remain null on the right hand side. And similarly, you can define, you can extract specific columns by writing, whatever column names you want. And finally, in this video, we will see the opposite of this is right join. So now what happens is the right table will decide or it takes in the priority. So all the product IDs from the right hand side, I can see 5 of them. And on the left hand side, the sales trend is the table which doesn't have that product ID 5. Hence that is missing over there. So it will remain null. So the right table decides is the driver over here. It is the deciding factor as to what rows will be matching and non-matching. So as you see, 1 to 4 is matching and 5 is null. So now you understand the difference of null, the meaning of null, and these are the primary join types or the join types that you need to know. Most often we end up using inner and left join, and if you swap the tables, the right becomes left and left becomes right. So this video was about giving you an introduction on joins. I understand you will have to watch this again a couple of times to understand the concept and also practice these examples. Don't go any further because remaining tables what we are going to use are more practical. We'll have a lot of data, but the concept doesn't change. It is only that the number of rows or columns will be changing, but the concept doesn't change. But intentionally we had less number of data so that you understand the concept of inner join, left join, right join. Again, to reiterate, inner join only gives you matching rows from both the tables on basis of the expression what you write in the on condition. Left join gives you matching and non-matching, and the right side rows will remain null wherever it is non-matching, and the opposite will happen in right join. These are broadly the 3 join types. See you in the next video.